affordable housing lotteries. So has this always been a thing? And I know it's mostly prevalent. I hear people going for these, and I'm sure it's in other developments too. There's the one by the Waipio Costco. I don't know if that has a lottery thing, but I hear a lot about it with the high rises in like town Kaka'ako area, where you get on these lottery, I don't know,
Yeah,
lottery lists. How does that work? How did that come to be? Has that always been a thing, or?
it's it's always been a thing as long as I can remember.
Hmm.
And so they are all over the place. So you have Koa Ridge does have a lottery system in affordable homes. Um, Even at Eva Beach, they've been doing it for a while. We just hear a lot about Kaka'ako because there's so much development.
Hmm.
Um, so what it is um, these developers they are actually mandated to set aside a certain amount of properties that they develop so that it's subsidized. People argue the word affordable because it's like it's still expensive. How can I afford that, right? But it's way cheaper. They have way more favorable prices than the market rates. And then the only catch is that there's an owner occupant requirement. So if you buy into it, you must live in it, and you must live in it for X amount of years, whether that be 2, 3, 5, or 10 years. There are some that are even 30 years, which is really long.
Hmm.
But whatever, I mean, there's a fit for everybody. And there are different entities that offer these different affordable incentives. So there's like the city and county has one, HHFDC, HCDA, and so on and so forth. So it gets very, very convoluted.
Hmm.
But there are things out there for people, as long as they're willing to stay there and live there for X amount of years.
Interesting. And then, so if somebody, let's say they got picked for this lottery, uh, are they seeking somebody like yourself to still help them navigate the purchase, or is this something that you would handle directly with like the developer, or how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you should always have somebody in your corner. You could go directly to the developer salespeople, but you won't get you won't necessarily get an additional benefit. There's no like price break usually. So
Mhm.
you should always have a buyer's rep that's going to understand all of your options
Mhm.
to help you figure out which project, which affordable program is best for you. Because, like I said, there's different ones with different year requirements.
Mhm.
If you don't know that, if a realtor says, "Oh yeah, they're all 30 years, owner occupancy," that's wrong. There are 5-year ones, there's 10-year ones, and then where on the island do they exist, right?
Mhm.
Um, and there are actually like one of my clients is actually trying to buy um, an aff an affordable townhome product where somebody else purchased and they're 2 years into their 10-year requirement, and then it's time for them to sell because they can't, they have to like move out or whatever, and they
Hmm.
can't rent it out, so they're selling it. My client is picking up where they left off.
Oh,
They have to fill
interesting.
out an application. They have to get it approved by the city and county, which is the entity that happens to be taking care of this particular property. Once the city approves and we buy it using the normal loan process, they start in year 2 of 10, and then they have to live there for 8 more years.
Hmm.
So, it's made to just kind of pass on through 10 years. And they're pretty strict about it, these entities. But they're really, really great resources for people who just need to get into homes. And the time flies by really quick.
Hmm.
And so I tell people, um, there are pros and cons to it, but I think there are more pros than there are cons.
Hmm.
The opinions and statements presented on this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Never make any investment or financial decisions based on information offered on this show without first consulting your financial, legal, or tax advisor. All economic and performance information mentioned on the show is historical in nature and is not indicative of any future results. All indices mentioned on this show are unmanaged and cannot be invested in directly. All information is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representation as to its completeness or accuracy. Lastly, all opinions opinions expressed by Jason Cutitta and any guests on the show are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of or are endorsed by ToBA Financial. For Jason Cutitta, investment advisory services are offered through ToBA Financial LLC, a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Hawaii and in other jurisdictions where exempt from registration.